Yeah, okay.
There we go.
Sweet.
There we go. How's it going, man?
All right. How you doing?
Doing really well, man. Doing really well. Let me make a quick intro for all those who are listening to this beautiful Tom Brady-esque voice.
Yes.
So everyone, this is Justin Jeffrey, who lives up in or near Boston, Massachusetts, and I've known Justin now for almost 3.5 years. And I've met Justin in person two occasions now. And I just want to chat with you, man, about your trading past, your trading career, your trading future, problems, struggles, successes, goals, and just introduce the whole world to you, man, because you are a prolifically amazing trader. You have great discipline. You have a phenomenal family. And it's a privilege and honor to call you a friend, man. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you, brother. I feel you stretching the truth on some of those things.
No. So tell me, man, how'd you get involved in trading? Just give us a little
I thought we were just going to talk about fantasy football, but that's
By the way, congrats for making it into the finals. It's you and Brad, right?
thank you. It is. Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, hey, guys, so Justin Jeffrey, he did the real life trading in fantasy football, and he is in the finals with Brad Reed. So, yeah, keep me posted on that, man. Good luck. Hope you win.
If I was good as trading as I was football, be all right.
You'd be crushing it. Crushing it. So tell us a little bit about your journey, man. How'd you get involved in this racket?
So I was always interested in the stock market. My first job was in a lighting manufacturing company, and they said, we have this thing called a 401k plan, and had invested in mutual funds. I started to read about it and got really interested in it. And the 401k company that ran that particular lighting company's plan was Putnam Investments, and I saw it back then. You look for jobs through ads in the paper.
Yeah.
And I saw a job for Putnam. You could actually go work there. So I said, yeah, I'm not interested in this lighting stuff. Let me go check out this investment company. So I got a job at Putnam Investments. Took a lot of training, learned about mutual funds, stocks, bonds, the market. Basically the overall picture, how it worked, but not really how to trade it. I wasn't in the trading unit. I ended up in the 401k unit doing plan administration. But my interest was piqued quite a bit through that position. And then of course, I lived through the dot-com bubble, and anything you bought was just going sky high. And of course, I bought right in probably first quarter 2000. I said, let me jump into this run. If anyone has a chart up, go look at first quarter of 2000 stock market, and you'll see how my trading went from that point on.
Let's go look at this, because this is such a grand story. You told me this before, and I laugh every time, but not in a mean way, but like in a I feel you kind of way.
I got you, brother. I got you. We can all relate.
So you bought right here. This is you right there?
That was me right there. That's me, baby. Yep. And so, that chart right there could be any stock that we're looking at. When we don't have discipline, we don't know anything about trading. We say, oh, this is the time to get in. We've all done it, and we've all seen those charts, and we get caught up in the sentiment. And I know exactly what I did. I bought $1,000 of Intel and $1,000 of Qualcomm. And Qualcomm had just split 8 for 1. And that was it right there. Yep. Woo! You can see the little split symbol down there.
Yeah, that is. Oh, that's so true. Yep. Dang.
And there went my money. And I said to my wife, we're going to make so much money.
Brutal.
So I actually came across a guy named Wade Cook. He used to have cassettes, and he used to pitch trading. And he said, buy a company anytime after it splits. That was his spiel. One of many. He was kind of a shyster. But then I still was very much interested in trading, but just didn't know what to do with it. And then had some kids born in the early 2000s, and in 2000 and late 2000s, I really started after the 08, 09 kind of collapse in the markets. I started to see people get laid off. People that were in their 50s get laid off, and I was friendly with them. I knew they couldn't find jobs. And I was in my around 40, and I thought, man, in 10 years, what if I get laid off and can't get a job? So I said, I need to really focus on a way to make money that's not relying upon a company hiring me. And that's when I got serious about trading and learning to trade. So I met Jeremy through a previous life of his, and learned all about trading, which was awesome. And then just had to go about building a plan and discipline, and was fortunate enough to hook back up with him at RLT and go from there.
So that's a wild story, man. Because I mean, that's the funny part is that that enthusiasm, I think, is what. And I'm not going to get too off topic on this, but I feel like this is going to be the Bitcoin era. There's a lot of people now talking about investing and trading, and it's getting people to discuss it because it's so hype right now. And I could see, Bitcoin very likely being in something like where we are right around here or so, where we go a little bit higher, and then we have a nice pullback 2-3 years, and then eventually does go higher. But the thing is, people are bringing just investing discussions to the dinner table, and that is usually a good sign, but also a bad sign. But a good sign in the fact that people are learning about how to take their money and make more money from that. That's usually, the same thing happened to me on silver. We can poke fun. You guys have all heard the story. That's where I bought silver for sure. Was at this, literally that exact high. I really got on that bandwagon as well. And it's just so obvious, now. Wow, in the world did you buy there? But
the cool thing is that we're here in Bitcoin, and you're educating us, and we now understand, public participation and distribution phases and accumulation. So we see what's happening in Bitcoin, and we can lay out, it's almost like you're planning the future. You can see where it is, where it's probably going to go, understand pullbacks, sell high, buy low. So it's cool now. I feel way more prepared to handle a run up like we're seeing in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And that's exciting.
Absolutely.
Not with Bitcoin necessarily, but with stocks, we can play the downside too. So. Yep.
No, you're totally right, man. You're totally right. So are you the only one in your family that trades, or is there more than just you?
Yep, just me.
Just you.
My 15-year-old is very interested. He's actually going through a financial class right now, kind of learning the basics of personal finance. And then in January, I'm going to be teaching the stock market to that same group of kids that are in his class.
Really? Oh, man, that's phenomenal.
This is kind of stemmed from your teaching kids. I think, what was that, March?
Yep, absolutely.
I just never could get it off the ground. It was kind of a sudden thing where I called the school and said, hey, I want to come and teach you today the stock market, your kids. And they're like, well, that's not really how it works. So I had to plan something to set up, and finally it's going to happen.
Yeah. That's
for second semester, next year.
Make sure let me know how that goes, because that's a rush. That is a rush, because the kids, when you teach kids, I'm not being mean or anything, they don't know anything. So It's like an entire blank slate when you're teaching them, and you are literally creating brain waves because they don't know anything that you're talking about. And it's phenomenal to do that and to create those canvases, if you will, and mental images of what the markets are and how money works. That is a thrill for sure.
Yeah, and it's something that's on my heart. I feel when we look at the country and we see the gap between wealthy and poverty, and middle class shrinking, I just think it comes back to financial literacy, which I really think our education system has failed to teach. And in doing a 401k administration, how many times people tell me, I just don't get this stuff, just set it up for me. And that kind of, my little piece of my heart dies every time somebody tells me that.
Yeah, same here.
Anytime you can teach kids and help them understand it and then, use it and profit from it as part of a tool in their career is exciting. So.
Absolutely. So tell us more about your trading recently. How has your trading been for the last, I don't know, man, tell us 2017. Give us the kind of the journey or the story.
Okay. So I started in the room probably 2 years ago. And learned about day trading, swing trading, option trading. What I've really focused on, or what I've made the most money on, is actually swing trading. I'm kind of a gunslinger, so day trading can be, there's not a setup I don't like,
Yeah.
For me, it really test the boundaries of my discipline. And that's, something that I just had to learn about myself personality wise. I can sit through a loss. If I have a long-term investment, I can hold through a loss for a while, if I know it's a good company, which, by the way, Under Armour may or may not be a good company, but I sat through that one for quite a while before I finally canceled that one.
Sure.
But I've had great success this year swing trading. I've toned down day trading just because I also got a job. That's a 9-to-5er now, so it's hard to day trade. But I know you've interviewed Matt DeLong previously, and I picked his brain and got a little bit of my plan set up through his Donchian channel strategy and swing trading strategy. And then I've incorporated the 50 in there. So I look for stocks that are definitely in an uptrend, wait for a pullback to hit the 50 or even below the 50 and bounce back up, and kind of trade them from there. And that's my swing strategy.
Gotcha. So you've been
high level
doing mostly swing trading. Was 2017 a profitable year for you?
It's had peaks and valleys, but I've started to become, towards the end of the year, more profitable than the beginning of the year.
Beautiful.
Last couple months, I had some really nice gains. The cool thing about what's happened in the last year is when I've needed money, I've been able to pay for things like our boiler broke and my daughter needed braces and then our oil tank broke. So all those things were $3,000. And I was able to just get in a swing trade, cash out all of them for over $3,000, pay off all those things in cash.
Yeah, which is huge.
So, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That is.
Now, of course, we had a great run in the stock market, so it was probably an easier time to be in tech and make money off them. But still, just having that plan, understanding buy low, sell high, invaluable.
Yeah, totally. So let me ask you this question then. So in the past 6 months, what was a great trade that just crushed you and you don't know why, you were mad about it, you don't understand it? What was one that went wrong?
One that went wrong? Oh my gosh. Anytime I touch Tesla.
Yeah.
I should just post that on the floor. Okay, I'm going long, guys. Short.
Yep.
I mean, if you back out a little bit on Tesla there, like right there in October. So it's coming down. You're like, all right, it's ready to bounce right here off the 50 and then just, drops. It's like, yeah, exactly. But I did have a good trade in Tesla previously when it ran up into 280. But then basically since then I had a nice trade get out there, but since then everything I've done has become my nemesis stock now.
Gotcha.
But basically when a trade that's gone against me is when I don't follow my plan. If you bring up a company, BITA.
Sure.
This is a recent one. And I kind of mapped it out. It was right at the end of October. So again, what I'm looking for, swing trades, bouncing off the 50, waiting for a close above. Yeah, see, Ricky's like, yeah, he made money on BITA. But if you look right there, October 31st, you can see that beautiful doji right there off the 50.
Money. Yeah.
I mean, gorgeous trade, right? For whatever reason, I saw that peak. If you look left at mid-October, or excuse me, mid-September.
Yeah.
See that kind of higher high it made right there? I got in, instead of waiting for it to hit the 50, I got in probably 3 candles before that doji. I had my stop at 44. I moved it to 45 and got trailed out that day. And it just totally botched my plan. Should have waited right there. My entry would have been right above that candle. My stop would have been below that candle. I mean, it's home run, as you say.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I just got in too early and just, that was a big puke. But one that went well, if you look at TXT, beginning of December, this one was a win, right to plan. Beautiful off the 50 right there. Beautiful off the 50 right there in mid-November. Kind of dipped below the 50.
Right around here.
Got in above the candle that closed above the 50. and then got out on 12.1 right as it was making that huge dip on 12.1. Yeah, I'm exiting right there. Kind of look left, all-time high. Yep.
Beautiful.
So just a really nice trade, and was happy about that one.
Sure. Now, what would you do in situations like, let's say this exact trade right here, where it does one of these numbers, or does one of these numbers, where it doesn't quite get to the 50? What do you?
So I'll look at the candle. I think I had an example of one. And so I'll look at the candle. So sometimes if that doji on Bida hadn't quite hit the 50, I may still have played it because it was just a beautiful formation. You have all that indecision, kind of a change. Yeah, I mean, if that had been maybe $2 higher, I may have still played that and used that candle as my stop. My entry above, stop below.
Uh-huh.
I have done that. I have a little bit of a flexibility in my plan to do that. But just with a much tighter stop, if I see that formation kind of come together.
Gotcha.
But just depends on the trend. The trend has to, look at that bit of nice trend, a beautiful trend up right into that dip to the 50. Gorgeous. That's the first thing I look at, is make sure it's in that uptrend.
Yeah. Do you scan for these, or do you just find them just looking?
Yep. So I have a scanner that I've set up on Thinkorswim.
Okay.
I don't know if Thomas Wong is on, but Thomas and myself, we kind of picked Matt DeLong's brain, and we set up a scanner. Scanner looks for stocks above the 50 and 200 moving average. Certain price, I think, is above $5 and less than $200. And then in that uptrend, decent volume. I think volume above, I forget what it, 500 average volume, I think it is. Yep. And then the scanner will pick stocks that are in that trend and highlight when a stock is kind of meets that criteria. And then what I do is I track all those stocks. I run through them every day and watch the ones that pull back to the 50.
Yeah.
And when they do, they go on my watch list, and then I just watch for the setup.
Gotcha.
So like if you look at IMMU. This one kind of did just that, but never. I actually end up losing on this one because it never really bounced. If you look right on end of November, you can see it kind of dropped down below the 50 heading into November, and then kind of went sideways there, and so you could see my stop was triggered there. Yep, right. Yeah. So that kind of fit my plan. Had a nice run up, dropped down to the 50, kind of looking for that bounce right there at the beginning of November, and then kind of said, nope, psych, you're out. Now, look, if I have that as a long-term swing, right, I'm profitable now.
Yeah.
You got to run through all the
investment for sure. Totally.
Yeah, it's investment, right.
Yeah. So Ken Freeman says, do you trade shares or options?
So I have every horror story imaginable with options. So this is part of my discipline. I've been just trading shares recently, unless I do a long call diagonal, which is in options. But if I'm doing swing trading, I try to do it in shares. And you say, if options, how much time do you like to use? Yeah, so options, I really do long call diagonals, which will be a leap out in now 2019, 2020, and then selling a short term next month out call against it, and then just rolling those shorter term calls.
Yeah. Do you have any of those open right now?
Yes, I do. Yep. I have Disney, Southwest, Apple. So my Disney is profitable. Just sold the January front month call at I don't even know what it's at. Let me look it up. But I'm about 2 or 3 grand in the money on that one. Apple's moving well. Southwest Southwest is ridiculous.
Yeah, Southwest is. Let me know these short calls. I'll throw them on the list. But Southwest, do you have a short call on it now?
Yes, I do. I have what month here? Let me check my month. I thought I was so prepared, Jeremy. Then you throw me these curveballs.
So,
Yeah, 60. What I sell 65.
65, right on. So that's the January.
Yeah. So that'll end up rolling. Either it'll roll or if it pulls back, I'll roll it profitable. If it keeps climbing, I'll close that for a loss, but then resell the next
Another
month
one.
out.
Yeah.
I'm just watching. I'm really watching. One thing I've learned about these is I'm really watching my delta. Fred's on. He probably just did a happy dance. I learned this trade pretty much from, or this strategy pretty much from Fred, but wasn't really understanding how the delta relationship. In fact, I was in, I think it was love. I was in my front month, my might even been square. My delta on both the call and the leap were equal, and I was making no money. And then at one point, one of them was upside down. I was losing money as the stock went up.
Wow.
I learned that lesson.
Yeah.
So you have to watch your delta if you do these LCDs.
Yep. It's one of those things you got, because you can get delta capped, or it can be delta neutral or delta negative.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something too, because you can do it just mathematically, but you probably do want to kind of just look at the option, like you mentioned, just to make sure that you're going to have a delta positive setup.
Right.
Yeah, I like the trade on love, and I love the one on Apple, because Apple is just going to keep going higher. It's a very nice move.
If you want to bring up Amgen, I'll show you one that I played horribly.
Yeah, let's talk about that one, because I remember you were doing really well, really poor.
Yeah, I was in Amgen probably right at that dip that you see in June. Might have been a little bit earlier. I don't remember when I got into it, but held it beautifully right up into 192. Was up. I only really had one. I had one LCD against, so it was one call, one sell. So I was up probably 4 or 5R right up there. Made that nice double top. I mean, hey, I think that's a good time to get out of that double top. Nope. Decided to wait for earnings. Watched it as best you could. Got out basically at 172 for 2R. So I still made 2R, but it's just how you can get greedy and how you cannot meet your plan. And the one thing I didn't really know about LCDs is how to exit out of them.
Yeah.
Because it's a leap, and you just keep selling the front month against it, and didn't quite understand the exit strategy on them, which, you have to learn that through experience.
Exactly. That's one of those things when you have that longer term call. It's like, okay, I got a longer term call. How long do I hold? When do I exit? Because is this a reversal? Is this a pullback? Is this a retest?
Long call diagonal, Ricky.
Yeah.
So long call diagonal, you buy a leap, which is just an extended option out in 2019, 2020. And then what makes it a diagonal is you sell another call against it. It's almost like a covered call. If you own shares, you sell a covered call, except you don't own the shares. In this case, you only own options.
By the way, next time, man, there's your exit signal right there, by the way. Just
you got it, man. I really like the double top exit, but
for future reference.
Future self.
That's right, man. That's right. So right here, what's your thoughts on Amgen presently?
So I'm not in another LCD right now just because of capital.
Yeah.
So I don't have a trade on that right now, but look at it bounce right off the 50 there. Nice. It's a little bit sideways actually lately, so this may not meet my plan. I had to go out maybe a longer view there.
Sure. Let's go.
But a little bit sideways at the moment.
Yeah, still is. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, even when I got into it, it probably really wasn't. Well, it was kind of coming down off that longer double bottom there from June of 15 to early 17. And then had that pullback in June of 2017. That's when Fred and a bunch of people, I think, got in right there.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier, which I'm really pumped about, by the way, man. Like, so that's the point of being a trader. That's the point of being a real life trader, and understanding the concept of how you can use the market to generate cash to do things that you want to do. Like, right, your boiler broke and you had to pay for that. And then your daughter had braces and you had to pay for that. And you're using the market as a tool, when normally what will happen I say normally, but I guess it's just my opinion. But if you have people out there in the world who, a bill comes up and that is a stressor for their family, right? They say, oh man, kids got to have braces. Now the parents start fighting, or someone gets upset because it's going to cost money and someone has to work more. And it just becomes like this divider in a relationship thing. So it's a phenomenal testimony to know that you just had the willpower and the knowledge and the fortitude and the discipline to just stick to the plan, make some money. So tell us a little bit about that. What lesson did you learn that changed you from being able to pay those bills or just being able to pull out money? Like, what was that mental shift in your opinion, or where did that happen?
I think it really helps when you have a goal. I do a lot of retirement planning, and people are putting money away for retirement, but retirement's kind of this out there concept that we're never going to get to, so many years away for dealing with even middle-aged people or younger people. And so your goal is my job is to give them image in their mind of a goal of what would retirement look like for them. And you've got to really have a plan in place, because if you have a goal, if people tell me I want to travel, and they say, okay, well, where do you want to travel to? Well, I don't know. I just, I want to travel. Okay, well, do you want to go to Paris? Because that's at least 10 grand. Or do you want to go to Florida? Because that's an airplane ticket.
Yeah.
So it's drastically different of what the word travel means by person. So you really have to define what you're going to do with your money and how you're going to use it. And so when I have these bills coming up, I know the dentist is coming because she's already been there. Oh yeah, she's going to need braces next year. And it's kind of like, okay, we know it's coming. It helps to know that when I hit a certain level, I have to cash out. So I almost have my exit strategy defined for me. If you don't have that exit strategy defined, like I didn't really have it in Amgen, that example I gave you guys, you're just kind of hoping it goes back up. But I mean, obviously there's going to be pullbacks, and if you don't have a plan to deal with that pullback, you're just going to end up losing all the gains you've made. Yeah. So I've learned that having those goals really help. My goal now is to pay off, have the mortgage paid off, and be completely debt free. And then I have a couple kids that are getting towards college age. So kind of my next few goals will be to come out of that with as little debt as possible for them.
Sure.
Those things help tremendously.
You're close to that goal, man. The mortgage being paid off, right?
Yeah, we're getting there. Still have about 80K to go.
Left.
80K.
Okay. That's you got this, man.
My goal is to have it paid off inside 3 years before my son graduates high school.
Yes. Yes. I love it. So, I mean, tell us a little bit about that. Are you saving up to pay it off lump sum? Are you putting a little bit extra per month? How are you attacking that one?
Well, we actually have they have another little bill. They put sewer down on our street and they charged every house 18 grand. And so I have 15 grand left on that. So I'm chipping away with that one. I want to have paid off this year.
Right.
I'm doing that chunk by chunk. And then I'm not sure what I'll do with the mortgage. If I'll walk in there with one big check, which might be kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I have put a little bit towards it here and there, but
sure. I like it.
I think I like the big check idea. Because that'd be kind of fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Maybe just a suitcase of cash.
Wear like one of those suits with the sunglasses and have like what's a handcuff to the case. walk into the place.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I like it.
That'd be a video.
So tell us about the whole. I know you've talked about this, and you've mentioned this. You've asked a lot of questions about this too in the last few months and years. What have you learned regarding the whole taxes and implications of pulling out money? Like, what's your journey been on that?
Yeah, so for me, if you guys don't know, I had a job, a corporate career, and then I actually was home for a year, just basically trading, and then I entered back into a job. But I was trading inside my IRA. So inside, every time you pull out money, being under 59.5, you have to pay a 10% penalty and then taxes on top of that. So that's not the best situation to be trading in.
Yeah.
You need to make distributions. But my thing with taxes, I've learned, is if I'm paying taxes, it means I'm making money.
Yep.
And I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm going to pay tax on that. Well, you're only paying taxes on your profits. So if you're paying taxes, it's a good thing. It means you're making money. And so I kind of learned to look at the big picture on that example, or on that category, and understand tax not necessarily an evil thing. I also will pay. I want to pay my share. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to do anything stupid. If I have to a tax bill I have to pay, then I pay it and make sure that me and Uncle Sam are good.
Yeah, you guys are comfy.
But inside a retail account, what I was really trying to figure out towards earlier in the year, earlier tax time, was what you can claim as a trader.
Sure.
And I think people can get in trouble around that, because you can try to write off your home office, and you can try to write off, a portion of your mortgage, all this stuff, if your home is a trader. But the IRS may look at the number of trades you have and say, no, you're not a trader, you're an investor. And, you can get a little bit of trouble for that. So the definition of them to trading is a lot more trades than you probably want to do as a trader. Because you probably just blow out your plan and kill yourself on commissions and so forth. So I kind of learned that, all right, I can't write off my commission, especially trading inside an IRA. I can't write off my computer, because I'm not technically a trader by the definition, full-time trader that the IRS has.
Yeah, especially not through an IRA.
Right, especially not through an IRA, correct.
Yep.
Even as a retail trader, though, I mean, you have to trade a lot.
You do.
To meet their definition, which is kind of eye-opening.
Oh yeah, it is. Do you remember the number of trades you have to take per year?
It was pretty high. I want to say, for some reason, 30. Number 30 was in my head, 30 a month or something like that. But I don't remember offhand.
I don't think it's state to state, is it? Is it different state to state? I'm pretty sure it's a federal number.
It's a federal definition.
Yeah, I believe it's 500 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, something pretty close to that, which is like you mentioned, if it's approximately 41 trades a month.
Yeah, I was saying I had 30 in my head, but yeah, it might be close to 40, right?
Yeah. Well, right on, man. So as of right now, you mentioned you mostly do swing trades. How do you determine the difference between an investment or a trade?
Good question. For me, it's the company and the analysis. So, Apple's kind of an investment. Disney, to me, is an investment more so. But if I'm looking at my scan, like all those things on my scan are trades.
Mm-hmm.
So, CTRL was something that I traded in late October. You can see that kind of came. Look at that. I mean, look at that come down off the 50.
Beautiful.
What a beautiful candle.
Yeah.
Right. The second one right there. Oh. So I played that, and that was just a trade.
Sure.
Because that's coming off my scan. But some of the things that, companies I just like and am happy to be an investor of are my holds. So Apple, Disney, Southwest right now, I'm holding for a while. I've been in AMAT for a long time, Applied Materials.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep, Applied Materials.
Shares of them. I sold. I basically got in at 35 and sold a couple positions along the way. The most recent one being up in $52, $54, somewhere there as it was dipping there. I still own a piece now. Look at that beautiful bounce off the 100 right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my longer term investments.
Gotcha. So you mentioned earlier nemesis stock, is Tesla being one.
Yes.
Any other stocks that you just like, nope, won't trade it?
That's a good question. I think Tesla's my biggest one that popped to my head, but I know there are more. Well, my account here.
Definitely more, huh? That's funny. Yeah, one of my main ones, SanDisk, that got taken off when it got bought out. And then it got bought out by WDC, which I still have a hard time trading, which is kind of funny how that works. But yeah, I think the last two or three trades I took on WDC, I lost on them.
Yeah, I had good success with Netflix, Facebook. I mean, I don't know, they're pretty much in an uptrend. So
Yeah.
um, where I'm at now is kind of okay. Um, does my trading strategy fit to all markets, or how much adjustment do I have to have? Some kind of forward thinking. You know, when volatility starts to come back, does this trading strategy still work? Um, you know, what kind of adjustments would I have to make to it? What kind of trader would I have to become going forward? You know, tax cuts have passed now. What's going to happen with the economy? So I'm just trying to put a plan together forward. How would I trade in a bear market, sideways market? Does this strategy still work? So that's kind of my, you know, I'm on the path to becoming a complete trader, forward thinking. What does the future hold?
Yeah, totally. Give me 1 second. I just got to lower stop on Best Buy really quick.
There you go.
Not Best Buy. I keep saying that. Bed Bath and Beyond. So I'm going to update it, and I'm going to lower it, and then I will ask you another question. When's the last day trade you've placed, by the way? You said you don't day trade that much. You have work now. I'm going to ask you more about that, but when's the last day trade you made, you know?
Oh, good question. Well, I've been back at work pretty much all of November. So if Thomas is on, he can probably let me know. We were trading together for a little while. Probably NVIDIA, and I probably lost on it.
So what was the decision that made you want to go back to work?
So for my personal situation, we homeschool our kids. We have a 13 and 15-year-old, and then we have a 4-year-old. So we had a big gap between our kids. So God bless us with another beautiful boy. And my wife always said after our first two, if we ever have another kid, I want to stay home. So when that happened, I said, all right, we're gonna get you home. So my mortgage that would have been paid off in 2 years, I extended it back out, and we cut some bills and did everything we could to have her stay home.
Sure.
And then she started to homeschool the kids because we were sending to a private school that was expensive. We had to stop that. And then where I was at my previous position, I was in charge of the 401k and the pension plan. They were terminating the pension plan and annuitizing it off, meaning that it's no longer on the books of the company. Pension plans are a big liability from a company perspective. So they wanted to get rid of that, and that was a good chunk of my job. They wanted me to do some other HR stuff, which I wasn't interested in. My wife had started to go back per diem, and they kept asking her, please work more, work more. Eventually, they said, come back full-time. She said no. Come back 4 days a week. She said no. Come back 3 days a week. We'll give you full benefits. And she's a nurse practitioner, so she basically replaced my income on 3 days a week. So I said, hey, this is awesome. We'll do that. We'll get benefits, and I can trade.
Yeah.
So we took advantage of that, and but I wasn't really at peace with that. I didn't like her working.
Right.
Even 3 days a week, she was on call. So it was kind of a peace of mind, quality of life decision for me to go back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you were trading full time, tell people a little bit about just how you went beast mode and really poured into your physical body. Because if you don't, I will.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So the cool part about being a trader and trading full time and having that freedom, like Justin's mentioning, I mean, you have that at some point, that transfer, that the decision in your mind where you go, okay, do I want more money and work harder, or do I want to have like a better quality of life where I'm more relaxed and I'm just enjoying things and I'm happier? And every time I spent time with Justin, his wife and his family and his kids, that everyone's happy, everyone's smiling, everyone's hugging, everyone's having a great time. So when Justin was off, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know how long you've been doing these races, but I have done Spartan races before. And so Justin has done Spartan races. I don't know if you've done Tough Mudders or all those as well, but so Justin over the last few years has done a lot of the Spartan races, and he did the Spartan. It's the Beast?
It's the Beast.
The Beast. How long is that? 23 miles?
No, it's over. They only tell you it's 13 plus.
They say it's 13 miles, but it's not.
Yeah, it's always over 13 miles, but you have no idea how long. This particular one that I did was somewhere around 16, ended up being, I think.
Yeah.
And it was at Killington Mountain, which is probably one of the larger ski mountains in New England. Nothing like you guys have out west, but pretty serious mountain. And you had to basically scale it, I think 3 times on the day, up and down.
Oh.
And along the way, doing a bunch of obstacles, swimming through their 40-degree pond and going through the mud. And it becomes very much a mental challenge. Your body's done, your knees are shot, everything's screaming at you to stop, and your mind says, "I'm not going to stop no matter what." Probably around the 8th mile, my quad seized up. We'd gone through the water obstacle. The water was so cold, where you can't even breathe. And then right out of that came up a big hike, and my quads just said, "No more." And totally seized up and cramped. And people were giving me salt, and this guy said, "This is weird, but I gotta massage your thighs if you want to keep going." So I'm like, do whatever. I got through that. Basically, the 8th mile from there, I had to walk the rest of the race. I was on pace for probably do it all in about 6 hours, which would have been probably top 10%.
Yeah.
Ended up taking me 9 hours. So I couldn't run after that. And then, of course, at that point, it's like, all right, let's just go back to the finish line and call it a day. But I just determined in my mind, no, I will finish this race. And that's what I did. And it's pretty cool mental hurdle to get through.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Do you feel like that gave you any kind of big breakthroughs or revelations, or did you have an appreciation for anything at the end of that race?
Yeah, it's totally, you realize that you can put your body through a lot physically if your mental attitude won't allow your physical to quit even when it wants to. I think it's a lot like, if you're in the military. I was never in the military, but I think they do a lot of that where they break you down and then build you up and then realize that mentally you can just do anything. That's what SEAL training is about.
Yep.
And this Spartan race, the formation of it was in conjunction with the former military. So it's kind of an element of that to it. But it just helps you see that you can overcome obstacles, especially in trading. I know everybody in the room probably at one point has wanted to quit. I was there, especially under my Under Armour trade. Go look at that chart. Yikes.
Yeah, let's go do that. Let's go do that because that was when I think you really took it, the whole thing. You started taking it a lot serious. Well, I shouldn't say take it more serious, but you're like, you know what? Like you mentioned, you said, okay, it's either now or never, do or die. I either give up. And this is when you and I chatted a little bit on the phone and emailed back and forth. And you're like, what did I do wrong? What should I do better? What's going on? And tell us a little bit about this Under Armour trade and what that did to your psyche and then how it propelled you forward.
Yeah, so I got into Under Armour somewhere in 30, 31. That's a weekly chart, so it's not quite as, can't tell exactly where it hit 30, 31. Probably in that mid-June area, 2016. No, that's too high. Yeah, it may have been there actually in later in 16.
Yeah, right around here.
Yeah, so kind of took that drop, and it was Under Armour. Under Armour had some ridiculous number of quarters in a row with positive earnings.
Yep.
And so it's kind of like Qualcomm. Well, let me get in here. Well, you've missed the boat, dude. And so I got in there with a much larger position than I ever should have gotten into. And then I think I even added to it as it kind of dropped even further. And then obviously you can see I had that huge drop in earnings in 17. And then it had another huge drop, which kind of scaled down even again. It was kind of like a waterfall, as you can see on that chart. So it was very painful. I lost, I wonder how many R's that would calculate. Let me calculate how many R's that would end up being. Ended up being 37 R's. Yeah, see how it kind of dropped, and then even in November dropped again of this year.
Yeah.
So I held basically through that whole first drop, and then was able to close my position and cut ties with that. So that was, I realized a couple things: way too much risk, no stop, too big of a position, and just being an idiot. So that was a good lesson for me, and that's where that mental battle is coming in of, do I just quit this, do I give up because it hurts? Because I know that it's on me. I own that mistake, and I made the error, and I had to face that and admit it to myself, and kind of learn from it. So that's what I was able to do, and then from there I've made way over 37 hours back along the way, which has been pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's huge. Why didn't you give up? I mean, you could have easily done that.
Because I understood the market. I understood what a call was, what a put was. I understood long, short. I knew you were successful at it. I knew other traders were successful at it. I read the Market Wizard books, and I read the books on trader psychology. And I knew that it was just, I was in the way of myself, my own success, through my fear and through my kind of my gunslinging attitude and my turning positions from an investment or a trade into a hope.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I could overcome all that stuff, and I knew I could be successful at it. I knew I could take the knowledge that I had and kind of turn it into wisdom, and from there success. When I told you earlier, when I talk to people, they say, I just don't understand this stuff. I understand it and I get it, but it was a matter of how do I profit from it now?
Yeah.
And so getting through that hurdle was huge. I still do dumb things. I make mistakes all the time. I'm short oil. It's dumb.
Me and you both. Well, I'm not sure oil necessarily, but rig.
Yeah, CHK. I think you're in, and rig. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Rig. What I'm really short is OPEC. I just don't believe in OPEC. Like, there's no way those guys are going to work together. But
yeah, right.
I just don't believe it. But just overcoming all of those kind of mental hurdles, and while you're learning, really take smaller positions and smaller risks.
Yeah.
The problem I had with day trading and was I was having smaller risks, but I was so many small losses, that they were overcoming any gains that I had, except for my swing gains. My swings were paying for my day. My day trading I would get there. I was going to get there. My plan was really good. I was understanding it. I was going to be to the point where, I'm a 50-50 win-loss ratio day trader, but my losses will be small and my winners were going to start to grow. And it probably would have been another year, I think, if I had done it full time, staying at it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have to get there. But the peace of mind in our family situation, I had to get back to work. So now I'm pretty much focusing on the swings and the LCDs.
Sure.
But I had a nice plan in place, even with the day trades, watching the 1 minute chart, watching for double bottoms and things like that, looking for those chart patterns, and having the ability to put in a stop loss or to make it an absolute zero trade where you only risk your R, and if you lose it all, you can't obviously lose more than that. So
right,
just having that discipline in place, it was huge. It's still huge. And so it's been kind of my mental journey, my mental obstacles that I've overcome, and been a fun process to be on. Fun journey.
Here's a personal question. So you mentioned earlier, getting over fear. What fear do you think you had? Which one? Because I mean, there's a lot of them, right? You have a lot of traders will battle from, and most of it is subconscious, where people battle from the fear of missing out, the fear of being wrong, the fear of losing. Those are usually the biggest three, but then you also have just, the fear of letting people down, the fear of not being enough, the fear of not being loved.
Yeah.
What fear do you think?
My gosh. Well, fear of being wrong is huge. I think we all have that. We don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to admit to our wives or spouses or friends or somebody that we were wrong. Even when I gave you IMMU, I know there were other trades I could have given you. I guess I gave you Under Armour. That's probably my biggest loss. So at least I'm speaking about it. That's probably a step in the right direction.
Hello, Justin. We're all traders.
But fear of being wrong was a huge one, because you have to tell yourself, when you get in a trade, don't have a stop, you're basically telling yourself you're right. And as it continues to work against you, it'll turn around, it'll turn around. You're just convincing yourself the whole way because you don't want to admit that you're wrong. That fear that I have to go home and say, oh, I lost way more R's than it's even in my plan today just because I didn't want to admit that I was wrong.
Yeah.
That's a big hurdle to get over. For me, in my belief, as a Christian, I'm a Christian. Money is something that we can fear. We even when these tax cuts, you'll hear people, oh, it's just giving a break to the wealthy. And so I realized, well, why is that a problem? What is the problem with that? Is it because you're jealous of the wealthy? Is it because you yourself are not wealthy, so you're having a pity party? Is it because what's the reason for these rants we have against companies and wealthy people? And I kind of, this is just for myself, I kind of felt like you're afraid of money. You don't want to have too much. You don't want it to become your idol. You don't want to worship it. We've seen people who get a lot of money ruin their lives, athletes and rock stars and lottery winners. So for my journey, it helped me realize that money is simply a tool to use. And I've heard you say this: if you're a generous person with $5, you'll be a generous person with $5 million. You'll just have a greater scale to use your generosity. And so that was a great lesson for me to learn, to not be afraid of being successful. It's okay to be successful. That's not a crime or a sin or a blight on you as a person. It does create jealousy in others, but if I can then come alongside them and educate them how to achieve that same success, then it's just another way to use that blessing of being wealthy to others. So
wow,
that was a journey for me.
Absolutely, man. I got goosebumps. That's huge. It's so true because there's the quote. One of the quotes I really didn't fully appreciate. I think I shared this with you too. But one of the quotes I didn't fully appreciate until probably a year and a half ago was, "It's not that we are. It's not what we." Well, let me make sure I get the quote semi-correct. It's not that we're afraid of failure, but it's afraid that we will be successful beyond all measure. That's what we fear the most. Most people have in their brain, if I said, okay, you're an absolute failure, what does it look like? They know exactly what it looks like, right? They know if they lose all their money, they know exactly how they're going to feel. They know how much money they have to lose, right? They know how their wife or husband would treat them. They know how their family would treat them. They know where they would live or where they wouldn't live or what house they would lose. They know they wouldn't be able to drive a car. They have everything planned out to a T. They've already thought about it and dreamed about it. If I'm an absolute failure, I lose all of my money, I'm a despondent, homeless human. They know all that and they know how it looks. And to an extent, that gives them certainty. That gives them hey, this is exactly how that will look like. But if I say to people, what do you do? What does your life look like if you literally have an unlimited amount of money? If you are successful beyond all measure, who are your friends? Who are you hanging out with? What do you talk about? What do you drink? What do you eat? Where do you wear? Where do you drive? Where do you live? How much money do you have? What kind of business do you run? And they don't know any of those answers. And that unknown scares people. And that is the true fear, is that most people do not feel that they are worthy enough of receiving that, because like you mentioned, people, their family, their friends, their brothers and sisters will get jealous, and they don't want people to be jealous. They don't want people to not like them. So they inherently and subconsciously do not become successful.
Mm.
And you're absolutely right, man. That was a mental thing for me for a long time, because I'm a people pleaser. I like pleasing people. I like making people happy. And deep down, like subconsciously, I was thinking to myself, okay, and a lot of traders battle through this, man. Like I said, it's that fear. It's an inherent fear that they go, okay, I want to make a lot of money. I want to trade successfully. I want to just be an astronomically wealth building machine. But subconsciously, your brain goes, no, you don't, because your family is not going to like you anymore, and you're going to be all alone, and no one's going to love you. That no one that you're going to have to make new friends. You're going to have to move. You're going to have to quit your job, and you're going to have to leave this whole world of certainty for something unknown, and that scares people.
Definitely.
And that's a fear, man, and that's phenomenal that you've battled that.
Yeah, it creates also a bitterness in them too. Then they start to hate wealthy people, and it's kind of like an illness that they just struggle with. And it's almost like, boy, that we have so much opportunity. We're so blessed in this country. And then just with this knowledge of the markets and how they work, and you can trade anywhere, it's really exciting.
Yes. I mean, that's so huge. Dude, this has been, wow, that was a fast hour.
Very
Incredible, man. Thank you so
much.
much.
You know, 2 days ago, I had complete laryngitis. Or 3 days ago, Monday, I had no voice whatsoever.
Did you really? You left that part out, Justin.
Well, I did. I'm battling a cold, but I have my voice today. It's a little more baritone than I normally am, but
hey, I like it. I like that voice.
it did go by fast.
Yeah, brother. Well, hey, dude, tell your family I said, hey, man, it's been an absolute honor chatting with you again today. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Have a happy New Year. Keep being awesome, and keep me posted on your progress, okay?
Thank you. Yes. Merry Christmas, everyone. Appreciate you having me, Jeremy. You guys rock. Go Patriots. And if Brad's on here, he's going down.
That's right, man. Take care, brother.
See you guys.
I love it.